going to get at least one win here. MusTang could come back and get 1 point, but MusTang is not going to be that super dominant team that crushes everybody here. It's going to be a bit of a mix-up here.
Yeah. So, you know, let's talk about that game. You know, was it a throw? I think to a certain extent, yeah, they were massively ahead. They did throw a lot of bad team fights, but then their composition just wasn't that strong in the late game when they weren't making mistakes per se. It's just that they couldn't actually kill Raichu, who built a lot of shields and was playing very carefully.
Yeah, it's definitely very true. I mean, Delta is very smart in the way that they played. I feel like they engaged a little bit too much early on. They allowed MusTang to really widen that, you know, that lead, make it really big, but in the end, really use their composition to their advantage. And, you know, MusTang, they're going to have to rethink the way they go through the picking phase. And let's take a look at the replay here, actually.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. And, you know, for the most part, at the beginning of this replay, it's just simply going to be, you know, Delta losing fights and MusTang getting ahead. But the longer this replay goes on, we'll start to see some of those throws, if you will, in the fights, and fights that should have been won. And also, you know, you mentioned earlier, which I think was a good point, there were some fights we saw MusTang take in the late game where they looked like they were trying to bait something, but they just were playing too safe.
Yeah, for sure. Like, times they were waiting for the reflex block to get off so they could get that money, Koshka ultimate, stuff like that, but it wasn't really coming, and they just ended up dying too fast, again, because Zarks was not very tanky. But you can see how that damage build really works out here early on, for the Koshka, of course, doing a ton of damage to that Celeste before she gets too many items. And, yeah, just more of these fights where MusTang gets very far ahead. That's a really good gauntlet there. Yeah. Zoning out that Celeste, putting her in perfect position for Wong to just, you know, do tons of damage and crit her down there in front of that turret.
What was really impressive to me about Delta was just they stayed calm, cool, and collected when they were this far behind. You know, they were insanely far behind, and yet were still able to just kind of hold themselves together. They knew what they needed to do to catch up. They knew what they needed to build, and they just started to play better. And, you know, obviously they capitalized on MusTang's mistakes, and then they were able to take a win when it would have been very difficult to do so.
Yeah. This is exactly the time where we're beginning to see, that was the first fight there where they fought on the turret, Ringo's ulting right underneath the turret for no reason instead of auto-attacking. We see it happen again here. You know, Zark's really not able to lock down Celeste, ults the Fortress, but takes a huge amount of damage from the Celeste.
This is one of those gauntlets that, like, was just an outline for the battle as well. Yeah. It was not zoning anybody. It was not stunning anybody.
And by this time, Delta was right back in the game, and they had a much better late game comp, to the point where even though this was like a kind of decent fight for MusTang, they just get absolutely shreked. They get rolled.
Yeah, things started out good for them, but the Heliogenesis are connecting with the slows from Fortress, and you know, it's just, this is basically the beginning of the end. As they start to win these fights. They're going to win another one here. And we might even not see the end of it. But you know, Zarks gets that ult on Raichu, but notice how much Raichu is able to stay alive. He just keeps kiting back, kiting back, kiting back. Hope is blocking, Hope is peeling. And then he kites back again, uses his boots to escape. And so much damage here is wasted from Zark. So much time is wasted because he's always chasing and not attacking. So much damage is just simply not being put off there.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason why Arden is so strong nowadays is because he has that giant shield. You get the Fountain of Renewal and a Crucible. Celeste has got her own reflex block, and she builds an Aegis and a kinetic shield. She just does not die.
Yeah.
She's also got the Eve of Harvest by the end of that game, so she's got a huge amount of sustain. So even if you get the perfect ult, Koshka's jumping in on you, she's going crystal build, you're still not going to kill her unless, you know, she messes up in some way. So
right.
I think, in a way, the composition was much better for Delta there towards the end, but I also do still believe that MusTang kind of let them get to that late game.
We are going to see a Glaive ban and a Sky ban. Let's see if the comps differ at all. Wong is going to go on Scarf, and we are going to see Zarks actually play Rona for the first time. And for Delta, they're going to stick with the same composition of Celeste, Fortress, and Arden. And of course, Susu, not changing up, is going to be going Arden. We've had an Arden in basically every game today, or in this tournament.
Yeah, double Arden so far today. So this will be game number 4 with double Arden.
They should just ban Arden from the tournament and see, like, maybe we'll have, like, much more
They
interesting
could
games.
ban Arden if they wanted to use some other kind of composition and knock out some, you know, Celeste picks as well, I suppose. I mean, it's still okay with Catherine. Regardless, we are jumping into game number 2 here. We did see Scarf played by Zarks a couple of times.
Yeah.
But now we're going to see Wong playing it.
Yeah, interesting. Wong going from using Ringo in the lane now to using Scarf after previously playing Koshka. The Koshka no longer in this composition.
Yeah, I do like it. You know, Ringo can do a bit of bullying, I suppose, earlier on and has a decent late game, but Scarf is going to be even better at that in terms of getting to the late game. And we saw how well it worked out for them against TVT, so I do like the pick. Rona's kind of interesting, though, that we do see that instead of Koshka.
Yeah. We'll see how that works out. We saw a lot of decent Rona play yesterday. And it's going to be the first time we see it today, but I have faith that Zarks will play it well. I just really would like to see Zarks back in the lane and Wong back on, you know, kind of roaming, or rather, excuse me, jungle hero.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely worked out for them against TVT, but I guess they want to mix it up, which is kind of interesting, I suppose. Why change it up if it worked for you last time? Ooh, we got a bit of an invade here.
Yep. It looks like Delta is going to be able to disengage this pretty well. Really nice kiting against Zarks. This is going to be pushed back. Some of the problems to what Zarks had in the last game, he was always trying to, you know, use these melee heroes to do damage. It was always just kind of chasing but never closing the distance. Pikachu and Hope are just going back. They will lose a little bit of jungle farm here.
Yeah, just a bit. At least they were able to, you know, hold off that invade and get most of that money. You do see they are getting ahead by about 500 gold at this point. A small lead, but it's there. Still MusTang going to be able to have their entire jungle to farm up to catch up.
Yeah, definitely the case. Meanwhile, Raichu at 18 CS, 2 Scarfs, it looks like only 11, so even though we're only 2 minutes in, a significant lead there.
They're looking for a big gank here. Minion's Foot picked up by Pikachu. Once that crit onto Scarf, but Scarf playing so safe in that lane. It's just ungankable at this point. And so they do give up. Seems like they're looking for a possible fight in the jungle instead, 3-on-2.
Yeah.
But not gonna work out.
I'm not going to get much of a shot of that either, but everything turned out okay. We do see a lot of coverage in the jungle this time by Hope, more than Susu. Yeah, something to point out.
Nice little scout trap there in an awkward place. You can see finally Susu clears that up, but sometimes you're just not going to walk in that area, and you can get away with putting it there and getting a huge amount of vision. But this time Susu is going to clear it up.
That's right. Actually, you're going to see potentially a big engagement here in the lane as Susu walks forward, eats a shot, and you see Zark's just going to continue to farm, and Susu's going to go and rejoin him. Wong just sitting back patiently here, knowing that, you know, his teammates were there for him if he needed it, but is going to grab that farm now. Closing the gap a little bit now on Celeste when it comes to CS. And Minion Mines will be up in 15 seconds. As well as that important gold mine. And they are posturing around now in the jungle. Not setting off that scout trap, just barely. Now with Wong in here too, Raichu is going to have to come down. He's coming around to the north very carefully. He's going to try to go for a solar collapse here. Doesn't get it, gets the heliogenesis instead.
Ooh, look at how much AoE damage getting down. Rena is not yet 6, so can't really follow up on getting that AoE damage, but they do push Delta out of their own jungle, going to be able to get a bit of farm. But it looks like Delta's going to respond by entering the enemy jungle, but I think a scout trap just saw a fortress, so MusTang does know about this.
They're going to rotate back to deal with this, and they know that now they've gone into the lane because the minions can't spot that. And neither team having enough advantage to even contest the gold mine right now. It's just a lot of rotations, you know, movement from one jungle to the next. And they're kind of just avoiding conflict. They're avoiding fighting each other as best as they can as neither team has a clear advantage, so it's always a risk. And it's like, if you win, that's great, you get an advantage, but if you lose, you're obviously going to get the worst end of it, so neither team ready to commit yet. Just trying to get small advantages rather than taking a big fight.
Seems like, Team Delta definitely more comfortable in that late game position. They played it very, very nicely and comfortably, not really falling to any pressure. Rona's going to be another one of those heroes that gets in your face and is trying to kill Celeste at all times, but I feel like it has much more of a later game presence compared to Koshka, which is why I think they picked it after all. And MusTang themselves is not going to be too scared of the late game, having Rona who's decent, but also Scarf, who's one of the best late game Crystal Power carries. So
yeah. Scarf is actually pretty vulnerable here. Wong needs to get back. He's actually going to get jumped on here by Fortress for just a second. He'll escape to the turret, though. And the gold mine, thought they might try to contest it, but they decide not to. Just going to head back to lane instead to help protect Wong. And another rotation back down to the shop as these jungle minions are about to spawn here. And Susu and Zarks, knowing that timing, are going to come down too, but Raichu is here. If he can actually get a core collapse, that would be huge, but he's not able to do so. Zarks is going to have to dash away Susu to protect him as well. And neither team was able to find any ground. There's just really, both teams are playing almost perfectly, so no mistakes are being made, no mistakes to capitalize on here.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, overall, MusTang has definitely been the more aggressive team, but they're not finding much with that aggression. Just very small, camps here and there, and Delta is responding so well to that aggression. We're going to see another invade here, as Rona has hit 6, and he does get that minion there at least, and is trying to force a fight.
Yep, doing some decent damage here to Pikachu and Hope, but Raichu is nearby, and Wong is also nowhere to be seen, so they have to back off there. In fact, Wong is going to get caught here in the mid lane and will be burned down. Actually, it ends up being Celeste that gets the kill there. It's going to be the first kill of the game going to Raichu.
That's a nice little pick off. It looks like they're going to try to do some chip damage to this turret, but of course MusTang wants to defend it, and so they will too, but Susu taking a little bit of damage here. Gotta be careful.
Yeah. We'll actually stop that push and grab the farm. Looks like Delta would like to get the gold mine, but it might just be a bit too risky as Wong is about to arrive back to the lane. They're going to try to set up for another fight, and I like this. If they win this fight, they can definitely grab that gold mine.
Yeah. Neither Arden has hit 6 just yet, so no Gauntlet's going to be in any fights for now, but it looks like both of them do want to farm up. It looks like slight advantage in XP going to Hope, so if they do identify that somehow and they hit 6 on Hope's Arden, maybe they can force a fight right away, and that would be a huge advantage for them. Goldmine is going to be trying to take here by MusTang.
Oh, this is smart because I don't think Delta suspects this. Also, Delta is split up right now. There's nobody that can contest it. In fact, this is going to be a free gold mine. The only way they can stop it is if Raichu steals it with like a Heliogenesis, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. He's going to try. And it does not happen.
It was possible, but just not quite able to get it. Too much burst damage coming out of Rona.
And a wasted Solar Storm as well, trying to kill Susu, but Susu's just so tanky, and obviously he had just enough hit points to outlast that there and even dodge the biggest hit of it. So a huge win here for MusTang to grab that gold mine. It's going to give them nearly a 1,000 EXP lead, or excuse me, a gold lead.
Yeah, just a small victory there. There was a scout trap very nearby for Delta, but I think maybe it was just out of range. That one there in the middle, below the gold mine.
Yeah.
Either that or they knew about it, but they were too far away and they weren't sure how they were going to deal with it. I mean, we saw Raichu eventually rotate down, and uh-oh, they're going to try to dive the turret here.
Yeah, they're trying to go for long, and with that gauntlet, they will have him for free. Even with Zarks and Susu rotating up and the turret damage here, I think that everyone should escape. There's a gauntlet and also a Fortress ult coming down here. Pikachu getting the shield there, and they are kiting back, and it's just, the problem is it's a 3v2. Raichu may go down here. Oh, they just barely missed him. I think it probably could have gotten him if they just committed a little bit more. They will get Hope, though, which does make this a 1-for-1 trade overall. Raichu playing with fire here.
Just barely getting out. Pikachu trying to farm the jungle as well. Fortress is pretty fast, but does not have an ally to try to get away there, and here we go.
Pikachu's gonna go down. There you go, and now they can steal a little bit of this farm. Things were very passive in the early game of this game, but now Like you said, that more aggressive tendency from MusTang really starting to come out here, and we're starting to see some crazy trades and fights.
Yeah, we were talking about how Wong is kind of the carry for this team, but Zarks has really stepped it up here for game number 2. Maybe getting a bit mad after losing that last one, but he is playing a fantastic Rona. Played a very nice Koshka in the last game as well, but definitely liking his Rona a bit better.
Yeah. We do see coming back now to take their own jungle. Again, just furthering their lead just ever so slightly. And while, you know, Delta knows their jungle is gone, they're focusing more on poking in the lane, trying to get more kills on Wong. And they're just not able to find it right now, not this time. Pikachu is going to go in there and try to burst him down, and there's a good heliogenesis, and Wong will fall here, it looks like.
Just barely able to
barely
get out.
Survives.
Yeah, that lead star also missing with the Solar Storm. Able to eat up most of that damage was the other 2 members of MusTang, and you know, an ult wasted, a bit of damage done to Wong, but that's about it.
There is a gauntlet available here, but there's no follow-up, and they're split right now. Even with Pikachu's ult about to finish, it's not going to be enough damage. It's not going to be enough, you know, engage to make a team fight go in their favor. They're actually just going to push this turret down. MusTang is, or not push it down, but poke into it. This is going to force a Delta reaction. Remember that gauntlet is available here.
He could go at the hopes in the back. Here he does land it. And almost gets the stun onto Scarf, but just barely not.
Here comes Scarf's first real ultimate in this game. Pikachu and Hope taking a ton of damage. Looks like Pikachu is going to be the first to fall. Zarks, though, in a very risky spot, barely surviving with that lifesteal, but Raichu will eventually take him down, and they should be able to disengage. In fact, even going to go for the chase on Susu.
Yeah, I think that was actually a little bit too passive from Wong. He could have pretty much turned around and done a lot of damage there.
I'm not sure what he was afraid of.
Yeah, kind of interesting. But after all, just going to play it safe. And of course, they do have control of that gold mine. So I guess they were saying, hey, just back off. If we die here, it's too risky.
Yeah.
No reason to try to secure one more kill when we could die ourselves. We have a lot much more to lose having control of that gold mine.
Yeah, it's very, very close to finishing, as you mentioned. And if they can hold on to it for even 3 more minutes, they might even get like a decent gold payout, as well as the 300 they'll get if they can hold on to this for, I'd say, probably about 30 more seconds to 40 more seconds. Wong and Raichu continue to duel in the lane here. And Wong eating a lot of heliogenesis this game.
Yeah, Raichu though eating a couple of Spitfires and even a turret shot, so Wong gonna get the better of that trade here. So now with Arden here, Susu looking to support. No gauntlet just yet for either of the Ardens.
Yep, they're actually at the exact same timer here. We did see the gold payout was collected for MusTang, so a big gold bonus that they can't use just yet because there's too much pressure. They can't go to the shop. And we do see even a lot of most of the defensive scout traps here for Delta on the turret, which I find pretty interesting considering they haven't really been on that defensive posture too much in recent times. Raichu's going to back though. And if MusTang can actually figure this out, they might be able to punish and steal some jungle farm right now.
They could. It looks like Rena's looking for some, and so she will. I mean, I think it's a good back by Raichu. Wants to pick up that big item in Broken Myth and possibly try to take a team fight here. They knew they couldn't get that gold mine, so just playing it a bit more passive, playing for the late game.
What we're seeing from Zarks right now is I think what Shelby was trying to do yesterday for IDO, like run around with Rona and get this farm and these opportunities where, you know, there's no vision of where that third hero is.
Yeah.
And it worked out in this case. What we saw from Shallow yesterday was just like attempts that got thwarted.
Yeah, I mean, Rona's one of the best counter junglers. Glaive's also a nice one because they have these big jumps. They can get away very easily by jumping over walls, by afterburning over walls. And so it's one of the better heroes at doing that counter jungling. And Zark's the better player, able to pull it off this time. Only stealing a bit, but everything matters, every little advantage in this game.
Yeah. Chopping down more heliogenesis, trying to find Wong here. Oh, nice dodge there on that Spitfire as well.
They really love putting pressure on Wong, man. They just continuously group up as 3 and try to dive this turret. It looks like MusTang has caught on, and they are going to support here. And here comes the gauntlet.
Oh, nicely placed gauntlet. Raichu is in trouble, gets stunned. Second gauntlet will actually protect him and save him here. Good Scarf ult from the back, and Susu is taking a ton of damage. Zarks looks ready to fall as well. Down he goes, and this is bad, bad news because Susu and Wong are just taking too much damage. Even with the turret to protect him, he's going to fall, and that's going to give him the ace buff, which will allow them to push this turret down. And 10 seconds left until Kraken is up. It's going to be some more gold payout here for MusTang, but a really nice fight here from Delta.
Yeah, I was watching Scarf the entire fight with Wong, and he was doing a decent job earlier on. He missed one Spitfire though, and then he went for the Dragon's Breath, and he ran right into the wall of the gauntlet. So it got canceled, and he was pretty much disabled for half the fight. That's not what you want your Scarf to be doing. You want to build up those broken mid stacks. You want to stay in the back doing continuous burn damage, and not, you know, just be stunned half the time.
Yeah.
And have your ultimate canceled as well.
Well, Pikachu definitely in an awkward spot here, overextended, and with no teammates to get that passive to boost faster. Down he goes. Wong will fall again though because they're always on him. And they could actually just wait here for another engage. Looks like they're gonna teleport home instead. Zarks wanted them, and I think he knew that they were there because that scout trap is so nearby. But they do escape here. And very even game in terms of gold right now, about 16K apiece.
Yeah, evening it up there definitely is Delta. Showing their confidence and comfortable play with this composition once again. The Celeste play out of Raichu is quite solid as well. And as you said before, Wong is just being shut down at every turn. Not really able to make the Scarf work this time around.
Yeah. Raichu gets found here. Oh, barely escapes the gauntlet. Ends up being a total waste here. I see the idea, right? I mean, it was definitely an attempt to slay Raichu.
Yeah, but I mean, Raichu's got a reflex block as well. It's kind of like, they're reaching, you know, like they're definitely feeling the pressure for sure, and that's not what they need right now. I mean, this gives 80 full seconds for Delta to find the perfect time to fight with their gauntlet, and no gauntlet for the enemy team.
I think Pikachu's going to go ahead and take out this minion mine as well, which will put some of the pressure off of them in the lane. Oh man, a huge Heliogenesis there and a great second one. Solar Storm questionable, but...
Yeah, we've seen some overconfident and questionable plays so far in this series for sure. I would have much rather he saved up that Solar Storm for when the Gauntlet goes down because, I mean, with no Gauntlet on the enemy team, it's going to be a huge advantage for you if you've got 3 ultimates compared to 2. Still going to get that Solar Storm up before the Arden gets Gauntlet up.
They want to bait a fight here, I think. They just cleared all the scout traps. They're checking for scout traps right now. They want to make it look like they're trying to take the Kraken, and they're going to wait for a fight here. So they're waiting in the bush, and you know they know that Gauntlet isn't up yet for Susu, so I think that's part of the reason why they're doing this. But right now, MusTang's just not taking the bait. They're like, no, there's no way you're doing this. Although they did get into a bad position here. Susu eating some Heliogenesis damage.
Yeah, they could go for a Gauntlet here if they want. Solar Storm is up. 5 seconds on Susu's Gauntlet, but they're not going to force it.
Well, now they are a little bit of a big engage here. We even see Fortress dropping down his ult as well. And boom, there's the huge Solar Storm taking out Wong. We do see Arden falls, though, on the side of Delta. And it's a 2v2 fight right now. But Pikachu taking a lot of damage will go down. And Zarks, is he staying too long? Yes, in fact, as he gets caught by a Solar Collapse. And here's the boots to chase Susu. Oh, one more auto should do it. There you go, and that's actually an ace. Raichu gonna get that buff as well as the minions. And with Celeste, actually, you can kill a turret very quickly. I don't know if she'll be able to kill this one because it's at full health, but she'll definitely be able to put a ton of damage on it.
Yeah, she'll be able to here very, very fast. She's gonna back off right after this. Raichu really the star of that fight, able to burst down Wong all by himself, and then going 1v1 essentially with the Rona of Zarks. And
then killing Susu at the end.
Yeah, just taking out everybody one by one. And you can really see the power of Celeste once you get up by 2-3 items here.
That was really cool. And Delta taking it pretty nicely. Keep in mind, a lot of their gold is in the 2 turrets that they have killed, or actually now 3 turrets that they have, advantage-wise. So that means that there's a lot of comeback potential for MusTang in untapped gold that's out there. But I still like Delta's position because now they can control the lane a lot better with those turrets down. We are going to see a Kraken. No, they were just leashing it, I guess, to see if they would take the bait.
Yeah, clearing out the Kraken pit now. It looks like Delta wants to come from the north here.
Kraken was aggroed there for just a second as well. All right, Susu tanking that damage, but a lot of damage being put off here on MusTang. And a decent Solar Storm, Susu taking a ton of damage. The Scarf ult, though, is going to turn things around. Down goes Arden. Pikachu taking a lot of damage, and wow, Susu survives. And there's another Gauntlet to lock Pikachu in.
Unbelievable damage coming out from Celeste. What was that? He crit for like 820.
Yeah, I didn't even see what happened there, to be totally honest. That really confused me.
I really want to see that replay because she didn't get hit by the Scarf ultimate, and she was very protected in the back. And once a Celeste that is this farmed up at 207 creep and tons of kills, 706, you're not going to win a fight if Celeste is given free reign this farmed up.
Well, there you go. They're going to be able to win, obviously, off of that ace. That fight that just went crazily in Delta's favor, even though it looked like MusTang had a decent defensive position there. Delta is going to take the win 2-0 over a team that we thought was favored over them and also, showed us a great lead in game number 1. And now we see Delta just play the better compositions, play the better late game, and Raichu carrying that second game.
Yeah, I think overall Delta definitely the better team. MusTang, morale problems for sure. In that first game, I think they threw away their mid-game lead for sure. They had the worst composition, of course, but then they couldn't even pull it together when they had, a more even composition in that second game.
So the next game that we're going to have, guys, is going to be CNL versus Delta. So we'll finally get to see CNL, see if they can live up to the hype, and that's going to happen after a short 15-minute break. We'll see you then.